Okay, for this clinical project, our first one, we were asked to try to read an article about secondary schools and try to see what the difference is between worth and what value is, and how we can use that in athletic training to say how we can use our services and make people think that we are what we are worth and how we value ourselves and how other people can value us. So in this article, it talked about a few different things that we could do as healthcare professionals to try and increase our worth, increase our value, and make that available to the public so they know what we do and try to increase athletic training as a whole field as a healthcare professional in the field of athletic training. So we were first asked what are things that we can do today that we can help push us towards becoming of worth and more of worth in the future. And so one thing I found in the article was we can use documentation about everything we do when we see a patient. If they come into the athletic training room, we start with the initial, sign-in log. If they're getting taped, if they're getting rehab, if they're getting treatment, what they're doing from the minute we see them to the minute they leave the athletic room, making sure we document everything that is going on. When we compile that all together, it'll make everyone see how much we actually do, not just go out to the games or go out to the practices. Make sure that they know what we're doing in the athletic training room is worthwhile and what we are expecting and what they expect from us is being done. Another thing that I found in this article that we could start today is documentation of the services provided. So not only keeping documentation about what we're doing for all the athletes and what people are using, but just keeping documentation about everything that we do. Coming in early for morning rehab, going to games, going to practices, rehabilitation, treatment, anything that we do that can help, any strength exercises, any off-season training that we have them do, just making sure that we keep documentation of every service that we provide. So when we give annual reports, we can say, this is what I'm doing, and then that can increase our worth so they can see the value of us and possibly increase anything that we need from there on, so they know we're actually doing our work, know that we are trying to push forward the athletic training field into a more healthcare professional base, so they just know what we're doing and is worthwhile to them, and then we are valued by them. And so what was next asked of us is what we thought about what we can do in the future. That was also brought up in this article. What we can do in the future to say that can further our value and our worth. And so one thing that I found is negotiating worth with employers. So they said in here something about we probably won't get the $93,000 and that's $45 an hour. We probably won't get that when we first negotiate, but we can certainly get more than the $30,000, which is $30,000 a year, which is $11 an hour. We can certainly negotiate in between there, so we know we just need to have the knowledge base behind us to back us up to say we can negotiate above 30,000. Probably won't get to 93,000, but we can surely go ahead and try to negotiate in between there because we know what we're worth. Maybe they don't know what we're worth, but once we show them documentation, once we show them what we are doing, then we can try to negotiate with them saying we are worth this and you should value us at this much money, which will then progress from there. It won't start out at the greatest, but then it can move on from there so we can start the foundation from here. Another thing that was brought up in here that services are not for free. So I believe that at first coming out with becoming certified, I think I would probably feel most comfortable going to a high school. Getting contracted through a high school would get me good preparation if I wanted to further on my education, if I wanted to go to grad school or anything like that. And so I know the high schools I have been at, sometimes the athletic trainers are giving outside services, which they're not getting billed for. They're not taking documentation for. They're just kind of giving a quick assessment or a quick thing here and there. And so as long as we understand that we don't take this lightly and we like to not have services for free, so we don't just doing things because, and I know people like to be nice people and just do this because they're like, oh, I have a free second or something, but just making sure that we know what our role is and how we can stop and say, oh, this is something that they need to that we need to document so we know that we're doing this. We can't just give away free medical advice or anything like that, because that makes us seem as less like healthcare professionals, that we're just giving just random advice to people, and they might not think of us in a high regard because we're just giving just random advice and they don't know anything about us. So if we actually have them come in, we can like say that this is what we do, this is how we do things, and making sure that they know that we're not just giving free advice or just from what we're doing to stuff like that. We'll just let them know that we are healthcare professionals, and that'll greatly further our field. So people know that we are credible and we do hold ourselves in high regard, so we know what we're talking about and stuff like that. So those are a couple of things that I found in the article just to help us feel so we know we're worthwhile, to make sure we can market ourselves, so we are valuable to our employers, to make sure that we just further our field and athletic training no matter what we want to do.